on the outside what everybody else's coulds and woulds would be.
Well, I feel like maybe we're gonna have to start asking our interviewees.
Yeah, and speaking of, I'm about to bring in Miss Nastancia. She
Okay.
is. I'm super excited to be speaking with her because you and I this episode have been talking about should an artist be managed by their partner or spouse, and then that unraveled a whole ton of stuff that artists do and managers do, and what managers do that artists don't know that they do, and where we're going to go from here. And Nastasia is a fantastic manager. As I mentioned earlier, she's also part of the Music
Amazing.
Manager Forum for Canada. I'm excited to have her on board. Nastasia, are you there? Are you there with
Yes,
us?
I am. Greetings,
Ah,
greetings. How's everyone
greetings and
doing?
Hello,
salutations,
hello.
Empress. How you doing, love?
I'm good. I'm good. Under circumstances, I'm good.
That is like the answer for 2020. I
Yes,
think Hallmark's going to come up with a card that says, I'm good as per this year.
right? They would get a lot of sales.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Because it would be the truth, I think.
Yes.
Well, we're so glad to have you on board. You just missed us just bantering about should an artist be managed by their partner or spouse, and that unraveled a whole ton of stuff. But before we get into that, just tell the audience, tell our outside friends and fam and fans who you are, what you do, where you're coming from, all that good stuff we love to hear.
Okay, so I'm Nastansha. Some call me Naz, some call me Empress Naz. And I'm coming from my background, if you want to say, I'm Vincy from St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Small
However,
Island.
yeah.
Yay. Yes. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. However, I spent most of my younger years, going back and forth to Jamaica due to family relations. And so I really took a liking to our love, if you want to put it that way, to reggae music. So back in 2015, an idea came to me from a friend of mine who said, why not? Let's start a music production business. And I thought, I know nothing about producing music. However, music was always in my soul because I have my extended family. They are in the music industry, whether it was soca, calypso, dancehall, whatever it was, they were doing it. My daughter, hip hop, my son, same thing. So I thought, hey, this is good. And music is, for me, therapeutic, right?
Yes.
It's a therapeutic thing, and there's a song for everything. No matter what you're going through, there's a song for it. So we decided to start this company. And at first, I was just an admin person. I didn't really know much about what documents are needed for this, but with a lot of reading, and also with my mentor at the time, Don McLean, he showed me the ropes. He told me what books to buy, what books to read, what site to look. And I pretty much was self-taught.
Nice.
Nice. Later on, I decided during the course of the business, happening, nothing was really going on per se where money is concerned. However, I had some friends who were artists, and they were like, you would make a great manager. So in saying that, I became a manager by fluke. Manager by fluke. So I decided, what? I needed to learn more. So I went to Travis. That was a short.
Hey, Travis.
Yes,
yeah, you have an alumni right here on the
we did, yay. But I ended up having, due to some OSAP situation, I ended up, having to leave the course. But what I gathered from my teacher at the time, he said, you know what, you don't really need this course. You seem to have everything on point. Like, I almost want you to teach the class, which, was flattery. But I accepted it, and I continued on. And during my experience, I realized that a lot of the artists, friends of mine, that were doing this for so many years in the reggae industry, they weren't getting the shine. They weren't being put on stage. If they booked them, they didn't want to pay them. And so I thought, you know what? I got to help these guys. Their music were being recorded, but not being published. And so it was a lot of wasted money and a lot of wasted time. And I was determined to assist these individuals. And that's what I did. I put up my first, along with my partner at the time, we put out our first compilation. And this compilation featured artists from Africa, artists from here in Canada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Like it was a multicultural, like international production, you know.
That's amazing.
It was a great experience.
What time is this? Like, what year is this around?
This was in 2016.
Oh, what was the name of the compilation?
Cut and Clear Rhythm. It was our first ever.
That's where it comes from, eh?
Yes. The Cut and Clear Rhythm. And, you know, it didn't do as well as we thought it would because, of course, we were new and we expected that. And what I noticed during this whole thing was that a lot of these artists had no clue what royalty was. They had no clue about the deal memorandum. They had no clue about how they get paid for their music being played. And so I decided that, you know what, I'm going to let them know what this is all about and how it's done, the business aspect of it. And so this is how I really got into artist management.
That's amazing. And, you know, it's interesting. I love this so much. Like, you really don't get it because the reason why we formulated this specific show is to give light to individuals like yourself that support the unsupported music, the music that doesn't see representation in education. So you won't find the reggae artists at, you know, a panel that talks about royalties when they don't see the representation there or how to deal with their music. And I just love it.
This
supports
is where sorry, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead.
This is where I feel that Music Managers Forum Canada plays a great role because it's a diverse group of individuals, including myself, I'm there. And we're determined to, you know, develop the artists. And it's not just for artist managers, it's also for self-managed artists, right? And it's about, you know, connecting and ensuring that the artists develop, you know, in a meaningful way, you know, and creating a solid foundation to maintain that sustainable and thriving music industry. Because I find that it's missing a lot of the substance, especially here in Canada. I find that individuals go out of Canada, artists go out of Canada to what they call bus, you know, and because they're not being seen here, you know.
Well, from 2016, when you decided to take it like really professionally, where did you go from there?
Well, from there, I went in so many directions. So from there, I started managing 4 artists, and then I was being told by other individuals, you can't manage 4 artists, it's 2 maximum or it's 3 maximum. And I said, no, I can manage how many I feel I can manage. Right. And so it was about learning about this media and making sure that the artists are being seen and they're being heard. So from there, I started putting on live performances. Right. And so stepping a little bit out of the manager's role, I became an event planner. Right. And
you sure that's stepping out of the manager's role?
and you know, letting the artists know that, you know what, I'm giving you a platform to showcase your talent. You know, for us, it's not just about, it shouldn't just be about the money. You have something to say, and especially if it's something with substance, I'm gonna give you that opportunity, that platform to be able to display that. And so I basically got a lot of the restaurants and lounges involved, where I would go to the owner and I would say, you know, I want to put on a live performance, a live show, and, you know, it's featuring Toronto artists or artists from whatever diaspora, and, you know, it's going to be great. You're going to get people coming in, you know, and they were okay with that, and they loved the idea, and they worked with me. And so I had to put the show together, you know, get all the artist music, make sure that it's prepped for the show, get the DJs involved. So it was a lot of work, but I was doing this for the artists, not for the purpose of let's make some money. It was for the purpose of music. And, you know, I gave them the option. I said, you know, if you don't feel comfortable with doing a show with and not getting paid, it's okay. You know what I mean? It's
Right,
fine.
right.
But they were all okay with it. They just loved the fact that they were able to go on that stage and do what they love and do what they do best.
Was this primarily in the reggae sector or reggae genre?
Yes, it's
Okay.
primarily in the reggae sector. I did have a few shows where there were mixed shows where we had hip hop artists, R&B artists, or the genre, and you had reggae and you had dancehall. So sometimes I kind of mixed it up, right?
No, that's perfect. That's amazing.
Yes. And
And
from
then,
there,
I was gonna say, did you bounce back to the managers?
yes, I did. I sure did. Like with all of this, it's keeping that in mind. Like, as a manager, I tried to, my best to get the artists that I was working with on shows. And I would always get people that didn't want to pay them to be on shows. And I'm a strong believer in, you know what, you can't use a person. If they're willing to give you their time, you should be able to, even if you can't afford it because the crowd wasn't that big, say, here's some, money to take an Uber, or here's a taxi fare, or would you like a meal or something, and a lot of them didn't want to do that. They wanted to, play around with the individual's time. And so, for me, it was, you know what, the shows were necessary, and also with them having music, the artists having music that they wanted to put out there. They wanted to have it on that major platform, iTunes, Spotify, Google, and that type. And they weren't getting that. So I had to also tie that in to the managing thing, like to let them know, you know what, it's not everything you want to put out. And if you want this to be on the international platform, you really can't put this out. Like this is not, right. So I kind of had to, I don't want to say direct them, but assist them in that.
Assist in direction.
What direction to take, right?
Exactly.
What songs make sense? What didn't make sense? This hooking up with this producer, did that make sense? Or that type of thing. So I was always in that manager's role. Whereas finance is concerned, I had to say to a lot of people, you know what? The time it takes for you to go to a party and spend like say X amount of dollars, you could take that money and put it into your music, put it into, doing your CD cover, or put it into maybe printing some T-shirts and merchandising, so all in that, there was always still that manager's role.
Okay. And so how did you find managing this year? Like what did you do? Like, what does that look like?
It didn't look, at first, it didn't look that great. I had to breathe for a second there. In the beginning, it wasn't looking that great. Yeah. I'm also manager to a Juno nominee, Petra, and she got invited, obviously, to the Junos. Mm-hmm. We traveled all the way out to Saskatoon, only to, when we landed, to hear, sorry, it's been canceled. Right?
Wow. They didn't tell you in advance? Hold on. They didn't tell you in advance?
We were on the flight when they were deciding all that.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yeah, so once we got there, it was like, sorry, everything shut down. It was like a ghost town. There was nobody in the airport. It was, wow. So we didn't just, as a manager, so I had to, put my manager pants on and say, you know what, we're not going back. We could have got back on that flight and came right back to Toronto, but instead we stayed. And in doing so, Petra was able to reach out to some of the radio stations that actually plays reggae music, dance songs and that type. She was able to, bag a couple of interviews with some of the stations. And we also did a photo shoot for one of the museums there. So it was a good experience. Yeah. Well, after that, while we were there, though, we saw that people were fighting over toilet paper, and we wondered if we should stay. We came back. And once we came back, it was a matter of sitting down and deciding what to do next. So I felt like this was the perfect time to write. This was the perfect time to write, promote, go live, because now, social media is the thing now, right?
Yeah,
it's right. Thing, but it's really a thing.
It's crazy how we've had to, like, how much dependence now. Like, I thought we depended on it before, but
Yeah.
it's like everything now. It's the only form of communication at this stage.
Only form now. It's just it's amazing though, because so much can be accomplished on social media if you
Correct.
use it the right way.
Correct.
Right?
Well, and I always say this too. It's like, you know, social media takes your local business and can turn it into a global business.
Yes.
Right? If you have the right product, service, whatever the case.
Yes. It's so true. And you know, while this is all happening, I was elected as a director for Music Managers Forum Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And what this did for me is open a lot of opportunities, educational wise.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
we put on the webinars, and these webinars are great. Like it's a good tool for the artists to get to know more about the business side, get to know more about, you know, what am I like when in going to the or listening or logging on to these webinars, you can actually say, okay, this is what I'm doing wrong. Okay, this is what I can go back to. Oh, you know what? I never heard of this. Oh, let me go check it out. You know, so it's giving that educational tool, you know, and also allowing you to interact with other people, because they do. There are times when, you know, they ask, do you have any questions? And you might have had a question that you thought it might have been not such a bright question. But then when you ask it and you get that response, you're like, oh, okay. So, you know, it's really a good tool, and it's a good platform. And they're doing some great things. They even advocated for the emergency response benefits with the government. You know, that ensuring that the artists and whoever is in need will get that what they need. You know.
Just a question.
Yes.
Regarding MMF, just for any artists that might be tuned in right now, is there any sort of, because I know like a lot of PROs have associated fees for members or whatever the case, is there any fees for that? Or
yes, there is, and you know, I can tell you that right now.
Shout out to Gabrielle Roubain, by the way, who happens to be the Outreach and Development Director at MMF.
She's amazing,
right?
Amazing person. So the annual fee is between 70 and 150 Canadian. So once you're a member, you're able to get into some of these webinars and networking opportunities and learning more about the music industry.
So that's like less than $10 a month.
Yeah, pretty much. If you look at it that way, yeah.
That's
and
dope.
you know, they're easily accessible. www.mmfcanada.ca, and any information that you need, it's all there.
That's fantastic.
There's one thing that I going back to how did 2020 look for me. There's one topic that I want to touch on, and it's mental illness.
Good. Yes, we've been talking about this for a bit.
Okay.
So this is good.
For me, it's, you know, people understanding that mental illness is a serious condition. I'm no specialist or anything like that, but I speak from experience. It's a serious condition, and if we don't, as a society, learn how to deal with it, we'll never understand it. You know, and it requires understanding. It doesn't require brushing off.
No, agreed. Absolutely agreed. Now, I'm gonna say something. I know I understand that there's this insurance on the difference between mental health and mental illness. Yes. Mental illness is different than mental health. I believe that mental health and mental health illness over the past several months since COVID and the pandemic and the shutdowns and all this other stuff that we've had to endure has increased exponentially, and or it has given us the opportunity to at least address it. You know, on the last episode we had, I had said that this is my Michael Jackson year. It's the man in the mirror. All of us are in the mirror right now.
Facts.
Right? So I really appreciate you bringing up that topic, because as a manager, I'm not sure, did you have to deal with that extensively from some of your artists?
Yes. And without going into it, you know, it's a tough time. You know,
Mm.
especially, you know, when it comes to the financial aspect of it, as much as the government is trying to assist, it doesn't
Mhm.
negate the fact that, you know, people, they have their families, and everything has changed. So now there's no school, the kids are at
Right.
home, you're not going to work, and, you know, the things that you would normally do, you can't do. It's almost like being um, free but in jail.
Absolutely.
Mm.
and
Absolutely.
and so it was rough for a few,
Mhm.
including myself, right?
Mhm.
But for me, again, music helped me, you know.
Mm.
So
Right.
I
Right.
mean, everyone has a different way of coping, and some
For
can
sure.
cope more than others. Some need the extra help. I think we all need the extra help, right?
Mhm. For
Especially
sure.
in, you know.
Did you find that you
Mhm.
played more therapist this year than with your artist than
Oh
manager,
yes.
or do you think that they're one and the same, really?
No, no. I think I play a therapist all the time, but this year was the worst of it all.
Mm.
I felt like I needed to just have a chair or two, and, you know, I sit on one side, and, you know, and maybe do
Yeah.
a meditation session. But, you know, again, we couldn't do that anyway because, you know, it was mainly done by phone. You know, but yes,
Yeah.
I was a therapist this year. I think I might have to dive into that.
I hear they're offering a lot of free courses.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
I
Oh
should
yeah.
definitely look
I'll have to
into
forward you
it.
the link for that.
Oh, great. Yes. Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
what's on the docket for 2021? Like, are you able to plan as a manager what you want to do with the artist, like, or are you just making a plan in hopes that it follows through with, let's
Yes.
say, a plan B, C, and D?
Yes. I have
Okay.
my plan A, my B, and my C.
Right.
and
What
um
what are we
and
looking at with that? Because I know you get also a lot of inside information from MMF in reach
mhm.
to, industry connections, operations, all that good stuff. What
Yeah.
what what should we look forward to? What are they saying is going to happen in 2021?
You know what? In a way, I haven't been really listening to, not MMS, but I haven't been listening to everything else that's going on around. I just want to hear the words "COVID is over," and
Right.
then I can move
Honestly.
forward with my plan. So for the artists, you know, we're at this point, to me, we're looking into stuff like how we can better or social media presence, you know, because we've done a lot on the road, and especially
Okay.
with like the shows and, you know, being booked here, there, and everywhere. So and more of education, like educating the artists more on a different level. I know a lot of the artists just prefer to do music. I just want to
Right.
write. I
Right.
just want to sing. I just want to get in the booth.
Right.
You
Right.
know, that's one thing, but that's how a lot of artists fall off the rails
Mhm.
because they
Mhm.
don't know the things that they need to know. So I know that with MMF, I'm able to, we're as a group, we're able to assist um, artists in the direction that, you know, a positive direction where the career is concerned.
Okay.
Um, you know, and also making sure that my artist music gets out next year. You know,
Right.
it's something. It's a press of the button behind a computer, but at the end of the day, it also requires the promotion on the road, promotion internationally, and that type of thing. Just
Mhm.
getting back out there, and, you know, just letting our presence be seen.
I can
And
appreciate that. You sound positive through it all, which is good.
yes,
I mean, that's all you can hope for. I think we're consistently rolling the dice on every decision that we're making
Probably.
between
yes,
now and who knows.
yes,
So,
Yeah.
like, really,
Yeah.
I
you
even
know,
have an extra pair of dice just in case.
right?
Backed up.
In this time, though, I feel that the saying "each one help one and each one teach one" is
Hmm.
is
Key.
required. You
Yeah.
know, we can't be like, I know this and I'm not telling that person, or I can get over there and I'm not letting that person know, because that person, you know, we can't be doing that in this time. This time is where we need each other in order to move forward.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Hmm. I appreciate your gumption. I
Thank
kind of
you.
want to. I want to steer though the conversation just a little slightly off of plans for 2021. But I want to take a talk about what it's like to manage in an artist that, and I'm assuming your artist is it's a reggae artist, yeah? That's
Yes,
right.
yes, yes.
Yeah. What's it like to manage in that genre? What's it like to deal with those in that genre? Where is reggae music going? Is there room in Canada?
Okay, there's a lot of room here in Canada, but um, in my view, the avenues or the support system or the limelight or the shine is positive energy. It's fun. It's one that needs to be let in as opposed to kept out.
Right.
Um, and the community, we would say it's small, but it really isn't. It's big, but how we look at it, it's just a small number of people that get to showcase. So because
Hmm.
of that, we here in Toronto or Ontario or Canada don't see the relevance, and it's
Okay.
quite unfortunate because such talent,
Yeah.
so much to say, meaningful music, meaningful songs, you know, and because of that, even the individuals in the industry here in the reggae industry, they're doing as much as they can, but again, there are some that just blocks the door,
Hmm.
and that's my view. That's I don't know anybody
No,
else,
that's
that's
that
my view.
that's fair. I can appreciate that. I spent the better half of the summer slash fall taking part in the Breaking Down Racial Barriers webinar
Yes.
that was held by CIMA with
Mhm.
David Click and Ian Andre Espinay. And
Mhm.
they opened up a lot of conversation around the systemic racial barriers that hit genres like reggae
Uh,
and why they can't get out or what is holding them back or who the
mhm.
decision makers are in or who owns the power in that genre.
Yes, and,
Uh,
and
uh,
and
mhm.
that's the thing. Whoever holds the power, individuals don't get to meet or don't get to
Right.
interact with or don't even know who it is, who they are, right? So it's like what they call crab in a barrel or
Yeah.
fighting a losing battle, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
what I find is there's a lot of resources, but it's not advertised for
Right.
people
Right.
in that community to know that it exists. So for me, it's a lot of research, and Music Management Forum Canada has given me that opportunity to be to be a part of their community or
Hmm.
their committee, because I'm also on the anti-racism committee, and this is one of the things that we are planning to touch on in 2021, breaking
Good.
down the barriers. The BIPOC community, we exist. Our
Mm-hmm.
music exists.
Yeah.
Don't shun our genre. It's music. Music is international. Music is
Hmm.
it. It comes without music. I really honestly feel that we wouldn't be here. We couldn't survive.
Yeah.
It's such sweet
Oh,
melody,
I know
no matter
this.
the
I know
genre,
this. Hands
right?
down. Hands
Yes.
down. For sure. And it's interesting that you're saying that you're going to have that discussion because Amanda had brought up a really good word and allyship
Yes.
is
Yes.
Mm.
allyship on the outside, and
Mm-hmm.
but I'm kind of wondering what that really is, and should allyship be when it even exist, if you will, or what is their role if they exist in specifically, let's say, two genres like reggae and soca and those that you don't hear,
Mm-hmm.
because we have a large West Indian, I'll say it, large West Indian population, pretty
Yes.
much spread right across from border to
Mm-hmm.
border. So it's not like we're not familiar with the music.
Yes.
It's just, unfortunately, there's no opportunity for the music to be heard or exist
Exactly.
unless you're kind of like skimming through those little veins that
Yes.
all reggae artists have to travel.
You
Which
know,
is why they call it crabs in a bucket, probably, because
right?
where else are you going to go? Right?
You know,
What do you think
the
about
funny thing.
allyship?
I think it's a great idea. Like it makes sense. Like you have to be able to connect and enable and being able to connect, it brings it shines the light, right? It shines the light on individuals that haven't seen this light. You know,
Mm-hmm.
these individuals that are being shunned. So
Mm-hmm.
organizations, like for example, I'm not gonna to emphasize on this, but Junos, right? You and I know about the Junos. Some know about the Junos. I'm going to say this to you. Until this year, where I mentioned to some individuals, oh, my artist is on, she got a Juno nomination and she's going to be on the Junos, and they're like, what's that? I had a
Wow.
total of about 15 people saying to me, what's that? The
Are they
Junos?
from Canada?
Right. That was my question.
How I explained this was, oh, it's like the American Grammys, and
That's
one
horrible.
yes, and these are, and this is from my community. They
Mm-hmm.
weren't because it's not something they keyed into. It's not something they watched because it didn't feature many of our
Right.
people. It didn't feature
That's it.
any of it. Didn't feature soca. Like it didn't feature a lot of
No.
the genre that we are used to.
Very
Right?
little urban. I
Very
hate
less-
the word urban, but yeah.
Yes, I don't understand that word, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
I heard that word's on the chopping block anyway, so stay tuned.
Oh, thank
Perfect.
goodness.
Yeah, a couple radio labels are refuse to use it now. So
Yeah.
but back to the allyship. I think there's pros and cons with it. It's just interesting because having to even use the word allyship identifies the fact that we really don't have any power.
Right.
It's an obvious admittance of we have to talk to Uncle so and so in order to see if we can get on there. And so I'm excited for a place in time, if you will, that where we start to create the decision makers and powers that be in these various genres that get left behind.
But we've done that with, and last week, Michelle, we were talking about marginalized communities, and we've done that with the BIPOC community. We've done that with women in music, making sure that there's a female on the stage or more than one female, like female representation. Like, why can't we do that with soca and reggae too?
Right.
Absolutely. And there's a ton of other genres, really. But I find that all the ton of genres that don't get really, that kind of placement or that kind of, nobody adheres to what they need, or they don't see the funding that they should, regardless of how many times they've applied. Right. I think that's really the problem. And so they don't call it systemic for nothing. Like it's built into the system. It's on purpose, guys. Like this is the thing.
It is. What I never understood to this day is why is it that a Canadian artist, okay, whether it's reggae, whether it's not so much soca, but whether it's soca, whether it's rap or any of this, why do we have to leave Canada, right? And have our music play outside of Canada for Canada to recognize us.
Right. We have to change that.
Yeah.
I foresee that this will be part of the change that 2020 has brought us, because so many artists had to buckle down and really do their best at forward writing. They had the opportunity, they had the energy, they have a story to tell. So what music will come out, it's going to showcase, and we're going to see things differently. I know what took place since May after George Floyd has really opened a lot of people's eyes. What they choose to do with that has yet to be seen. Yeah. So I could talk about that, but on another bias, if I can slightly move to another bias, in the reggae genre, I see the Esco Levi's and the Kirk Diamonds all over the place. They're doing well. But I'm not seeing the females, like Little Bits. Amoy's doing her thing, but I know she still struggles. Does Petra struggle as a female reggae artist?
Yes, because again, with the doors being somewhat ajar and not fully open, you kind of have to always fight. Fight to get seen, fight to get in. She's doing well. And keep being optimistic and continuous encouragement in that. So, she's doing her thing. And don't get it wrong. She's not just the reggae artist. She's versatile. She can do any genre, right? Which is good for her.
It is.
it's just we faced it. We were looking at it right in its face, and it's like, yeah, no, you it doesn't matter. You stay over there, kind of thing. And we have individuals that are in areas where they can actually help the reggae community on a whole. But for whatever reason, they choose not to, or maybe because they have to talk to so and so, it can't be done, right?
Right.
There's such great artists here in Toronto. There's the Ras Morgan. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He has a lot of positive, conscious vibration music. You have Ninja, who was one of my artists. He just released an EP
Oh,
called Chills. You know,
amazing.
yes, we have such good music here. So, in saying that, this is probably where I'll throw in this little point here. I had to literally create a radio station to feature these artists, right?
You created a radio station for
Yes,
that.
the radio station, and it's called Cut and Clear Radio, and it's not just showcasing the artists that I produce, their music, but also featuring other artists that's been on some of the stage shows that I've done, or artists that I just know they have really good music and they're not being heard, you know. So for me, it's like I'm going to showcase these artists, and no, by any means, and I'm not asking for money. The music is great, and I just want people to hear it, and I want people to comment and say, who's that artist? So I can tell them who that artist is. You have Empress Divine. She's a great artist. Donna Makita. She also has a magazine. Donna Makita is a great artist. She's a great performer. She has a magazine that's called Reggae Exclusive. In that magazine, it tells you all the news, views, reviews, everything that's going on here in Toronto and otherwise where the reggae community is concerned. Even Black businesses in that. It's all in that magazine. I've had the opportunity to be featured in that particular magazine twice, and on their calendar, and to me, it's great because she's not just doing it for her. She's doing it for everyone else. All the artists that are not seen, And so when you pick up a reggae exclusive and you flip through the page, like, oh, who's this guy? And you want to go check him out. Oh, who's this lady? You want to go check her out. And that is, to me, that's amazing.
I love the boosting. I think that's fantastic, first and foremost. I will absolutely 100% be checking it out. Thank you. and it just takes that, right? Just a little information, a little opportunity to say, hey, this is where you need to go. This is what you need to do to make changes. Do you foresee the scope of reggae music being more readily available in the future?
Yes, you know why? I find that a lot of the artists are finding out now how they can publish their own music. They don't need that third party or per se. They can do it themselves. So it's about recording that music, making it sound great, and then putting it out without anybody saying, okay, you got to get this percentage, you got to this, you got to that. It's good. It's good in a way that it's like a self-made artist.
Okay, I like that. That's good. And I completely and strongly agree with education, especially for the BIPOC community as well as the LGBTQ community, because I really think they do get left out. Yes. I really do. I love to see that Music Ontario is here and there and doing this and that. And, forgive me, Music Ontario, you guys have fantastic information, but I rarely see representation on their panels.
Yes.
It is so far and few between. And they have so much opportunity to make changes, because once one person does it, it's crazy. Everybody tends to follow. We're very much like the Joneses in this community.
Yes, it's true.
So I want you to keep doing what you're doing with your Cut and Clear radio station. And if you have some time or an awesome voice, I want you to let our audience know how they can get in touch with either submitting their music for that or just to listen out to some awesome music.
Okay, so we are on Twitch, and it's Cut and Clear. or
Hmm.
you can type in Cuts and Clear Radio, but you have to download the app or you're not going to get that great experience. Download the app and follow Cuts and Clear. Also, if you want to submit your music, make sure your music is clean. I don't deal with the brack out, skin out. I'm going to put it in those terms. You got to give me clean music, and it's Cuts and Clear music, Cuts and Clear Radio at gmail.com.
Okay.
And if you want to check us out on Instagram, it's Cuts and Clear Music Productions.
Amazing. I would say, does anybody want to reach out to, if anybody want to reach out to you? I don't know if you do consulting or any kind of strategies, or you just, other managers might be listening that just want to, reach out and network with you. Where can they find you?
I can be contacted via email, Cuts and Clear Music PR at gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
And before, I just want to say this one thing. Condolences to Denise Jones's family. Icon in the reggae community.
Yes.
She's also Edgar Levi's manager. She's done a lot, and she's a tough act to follow.
Absolutely. They've been around for years. I mean, donkey years.
Yes.
Doing their best. And so it was, when I got the message last week, I was like, what? So, you know what? RIEP.
Yeah.
You will be missed for sure. Yeah. And I can't believe like 40 minutes flew by. But before we kind of wrap,
having such fun.
This is how we do it here. Hello. Before we go, I would love for you as a manager, if you put your manager hat on, and if there's anybody out there listening that needs to hear this, whether it be an artist, another manager, what would you have to tell them that they can move forward with in 2021?
Listen and listen clearly. Don't give up. Keep doing what you're doing. Spend the time to write. Make one with nature, because nature influences our thoughts. And no matter what a person's saying that's negative, just cut that off with some positive energy.
Love it. What a beautiful message. Thank you. I'm clapping. Can you hear it? Yeah.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Oh my goodness. It was such a blessing to have you on here. This is basically our forum where we want to support individuals like yourself that are fighting the good fight, all for the sake of great music and amazing, talented individuals that are working within their purpose. So
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, reach out anytime. We love you. We really appreciate all that you've contributed to this conversation, and believe me, there's more to come.
Thank you so much. Have a blessed evening.